In the quaint town of El Dorado, where the jacarandas bloomed year-round and the streets whispered of bygone eras, there lived a man named Jonathan Gold. His silver hair and distinguished demeanor belied a youth spent in the throes of passion across continents. Now, as he set his sights on the mayoral seat, his past threatened to overshadow his ambitions. Jonathan had always known that his youthful escapades might one day catch up to him, but he never imagined the extent of his past misdeeds. It was during a heated debate that the first letter arrived, sealed with a foreign stamp and scented with nostalgia. Inside was a photograph of a young woman, her eyes a mirror of his own, and a note that simply read, "Meet your daughter Isabella." As the campaign progressed, more letters found their way to Jonathan's doorstep, each revealing another daughter, all named Isabella, all from different mothers hailing from distant lands. The revelation shook him to his core, not just for the personal implications, but for the potential scandal it could cause. With the election looming, Jonathan knew he had to act. He reached out to each mother, seeking forgiveness and a chance to make amends. But how could he reconcile years of absence in mere weeks? And how could he unite his newfound daughters, whose only commonality was their name and their father's blood? The town buzzed with rumors as Jonathan's opponents caught wind of his predicament. As the election campaign intensified, El Dorado's air crackled with tension. Jonathan Gold's mansion became a hub of clandestine meetings. The Isabellas, Isabella from Italy, Isabella from Kenya, Isabella from Brazil, Isabella from India, and Isabella from Cape Town, gathered in the opulent drawing room, their gazes wary yet curious. Jonathan paced, his polished shoes leaving faint marks on the Persian rug. He had summoned them, not just to reveal their shared lineage, but to unravel the secrets that bound them. The mothers, too, had been invited, one by one, discreetly. They arrived, eyes guarded, their pasts etched into their faces like ancient maps. Isabella from Italy, her olive skin a testament to sun-kissed summers, was the eldest. She had inherited her mother's fiery spirit and her father's penchant for adventure. Her eyes bore the weight of years spent wondering about the man who had swept her mother off her feet during a Roman holiday. Isabella from Kenya, tall and regal, had her mother's grace and her father's wanderlust. She had grown up hearing tales of a dashing stranger who had danced with her mother under the African moon. But the dance had ended, and her mother had been left with a broken heart and a daughter named Isabella. Isabella from Brazil, with her sun-kissed curls and somber rhythm in her veins, had been raised by a single mother who whispered stories of a mysterious lover. She had always wondered why her father had vanished, leaving behind only a name and a promise. Isabella from India, her eyes as dark as midnight, had been born in the monsoon season. Her mother, a poet, had penned verses about love lost and secrets buried. She had never revealed the identity of her daughter's father, but the name Isabella had echoed through the verses like a haunting refrain. Isabella from Cape Town, a surfer with freckles like constellations, had grown up near Camps Bay Beach. Her mother, a marine biologist, had never spoken of the man who had swept her off her feet during a research expedition. But Isabella had always sensed a missing piece in her life, a void that bore the same name as her sister's. Jonathan faced them, his heart pounding. "I've wronged you all," he began, his voice raw. "I was a Casanova, blinded by my desires. But now, I seek redemption, for your sakes and for El Dorado's future." The mothers watched, their expressions unreadable. They had their own agendas, their own reasons for keeping silent. Jonathan's path to the mayoral seat was strewn with obstacles, and they held the keys to his salvation or downfall. Isabella from Italy's mother, a renowned chef, wanted a culinary school in El Dorado. Isabella from Kenya's mother, a conservationist, demanded protection for the endangered elephants. Isabella from Brazil's mother, a dancer, yearned for a cultural center. Isabella from India's mother, a recluse, sought a library to house her forgotten poems. And Isabella from Cape Town's mother, a surfer at heart, dreamed of an ocean cleanup initiative. Jonathan listened, his heart heavy. The daughters watched him, their eyes assessing. El Dorado awaited its fate, the man who wanted to be mayor, the daughters who shared a name, and the mothers who held the threads of truth. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, Jonathan made a promise. "Before the elections, I'll fulfill your wishes." Not as a Casanova, but as a father seeking redemption. The suspense hung thick in the air. El Dorado held its breath, unaware that the fate of its next mayor rested not in political speeches, but in the whispered agreements of 5 Isabellas and the mothers who had once loved a man named Jonathan Gold. The Isabellas' initial reactions were a complex tapestry of emotions. Each had grown up with a void, a father-shaped silhouette in their lives, and the sudden appearance of Jonathan Gold stirred a whirlwind of feelings. Isabella from Italy felt a simmering anger, having grown up with with tales of a charming rogue who had vanished like a summer breeze. Her mother's eyes had always held a hint of sadness when she spoke of him, and Isabella resented the man who had caused such sorrow. Isabella from Kenya harbored a quiet resentment, not for the absence, but for the silence. Her mother had raised her with strength and dignity, yet the shadow of a father had always loomed, unspoken and unresolved. Isabella from Brazil was the most vocal, her fiery temperament refusing to accept Jonathan's sudden paternal interest. She questioned his motives, wondering if his actions were driven by genuine remorse or political maneuvering. Isabella from India carried a sense of betrayal, her mother's poetry having instilled in her a deep sense of romanticism and loyalty. The revelation of her father's identity shattered an idealized image she had unconsciously crafted. Isabella from Cape Town, however, was more forgiving. She understood the follies of youth and saw in Jonathan a man willing to confront his past. Her resentment was tempered by a cautious optimism. Despite these initial feelings, the prospect of a united family and the genuine efforts of Jonathan to make amends began to soften their stances. As they spent time with their father and each other, the resentment gave way to curiosity, and eventually, a cautious affection. The true suspense lay in whether these newfound bonds could withstand the pressures of public life and the scrutiny of an election. Could the Isabellas overcome their resentment to support their father's mayoral bid? Or would the weight of the past prove too heavy for reconciliation? The town of El Dorado watched, captivated by the unfolding drama of the Gold family. On the eve of the election, the town hall was abuzz with anticipation. The Isabellas stood by Jonathan's side, their presence a testament to his changed character. As the election day unfolded, the spotlight shifted from Jonathan Gold to the other mayoral candidates. Let me share their fates with you. Evelyn Ironclad Wallace, a no-nonsense former police chief, had promised to clean up the town's corruption. Her campaign slogan was "Justice for El Dorado." However, rumors surfaced that she had accepted bribes during her tenure as chief. The local newspaper ran exposés, and her credibility plummeted. On election night, Evelyn conceded gracefully, vowing to continue her fight against corruption from outside the political arena. Samuel Thornton, a respected physician, had campaigned on improving healthcare and education. His slogan was "Healing El Dorado." Unfortunately, a scandal emerged. He had been involved in an illicit affair with a nurse at the local hospital. The town gossiped about secret rendezvous in supply closets. Dr. Thornton's reputation took a nosedive. He withdrew from the race, citing personal reasons. Lena Firebrand Martinez, a fiery community organizer, championed social justice causes. Her campaign rallied under the banner "Empower El Dorado." However, her radical views alienated some conservative voters. She was accused of being a radical socialist by her opponents. On election night, Lena's passionate speech fired up her supporters, but it wasn't enough. She narrowly lost, vowing to continue her advocacy work. Harold Smooth Talker Baxter, a charismatic businessman who promised economic growth and revitalization. His slogan was "Prosperity for El Dorado." Yet, whispers circulated about shady business deals and tax evasion. His opponents dug into his financial records. On election night, Harold's eloquent speech couldn't save him. He lost by a slim margin, leaving the stage with a forced smile. As the dust settled, Jonathan Gold emerged victorious, not just because of his political prowess but because his story resonated with the townspeople. El Dorado had witnessed redemption, forgiveness, and the power of family ties, all against the backdrop of a mayoral race. Yet, in a twist of fate, the Isabellas, each accomplished in their own right, rallied around the father they never knew. They saw in him not just the Casanova of his youth but a man earnestly striving for redemption. As election day approached, Jonathan's story transformed from one of scandal to one of unity and newfound family bonds. The suspense lay not in whether his past would ruin him, but in how the strength of these newfound relationships could uplift an entire community. The other candidates faded into the background, their dreams deferred, while Jonathan stepped into the role he never imagined: a father to 5 Isabellas, a mayor with a past, and a beacon of hope for a town yearning for unity. The suspense had held the town captive, but in the end, it was the heartwarming resolution that left the audience in awe, pondering the intricate dance of fate and the enduring strength of family ties. Jonathan Gold became Mayor Gold, not in spite of his past, but because of the future he promised to build, with his daughters, for his town, and for the legacy he wished to leave behind. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below on what you think about the story.